Bonjour tout le monde. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Africa Canada TV. My name is Jane Nyoike. Tonight we are honored to have with us Honorable Peter Kenneth, the Assistant Minister of State for Planning and National Development and Vision 2030. He's also a member of Parliament for Gatanga constituents, best known for CDF project breaking record across the country. He's also a presidential candidate. Honorable Peter Kenneth is received by the Kenyan diaspora in Quebec, Montreal. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen.
Naishi na tumaini najitolea daima Kenya, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu, nyeusi ya wananchi na nyekundu ni ya damu, kijani ni ya ardhi, nyeupe ya amani.
I've been in Parliament for now close to 10 years. I've never been on the backbench because from day one I started as an assistant minister, and today I should be the longest assistant minister in Kibaki regime. I had the largest majority as a member of Parliament in the last election. And a few years ago, we kind of sat down and decided what we thought was right for Kenya. And because of being assistant minister in 3 ministries, kind of felt what Kenyans were and what they required, because I served as an assistant minister, the Ministry of Cooperatives. So I was able to associate with very many Kenyans. As you know, Kenya is a cooperative country. I then served in the Ministry of Finance, where I was able to see how the Vision 2030 was being built, and where I was able to look at the fiscal arrangements of the country and realize that we could do much more than what we actually do. And then now, of course, I'm in economic planning, where I have all the statistics. And I think I've been lucky that I've been in ministries that can prepare me and can prepare Kenya to move in the direction that we'd like to move in. And just to give you a few statistics, we are right now 40 million Kenyans. We are growing at 1.2 million. So in the next 10 years, we'll be 52 million. Now, only 4% of that population is over 60 years. 52% of the population is below 18, which that tells you that 44% of the population is between age 19 and age 60. And that can easily tell you from the demographics that if we don't do something, we are going to be in worse situation. Because if you have 52% of your population below the age of 18, tells you that if the rate of unemployment is high today, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because you have a bigger population which is at 52% below 18. But in terms of poverty, in terms of hunger, and you know that we've suffered quite a bit on hunger and starvation, it tells you if you are growing, then you'll have worse problems. Therefore, it's time we prepare ourselves and prepare the country, because that's the only way we can build. And I'm saying this very well knowing that you live here. You probably might not undergo what I'm telling you. But as a diaspora, and not just in Canada, but all over the world, the diaspora has played a very key role in ensuring, one, that we stabilize the Kenyan shilling with your remittances. 2, you kind of cover the government, because some of the money you send are for services that government should have provided for, like healthcare, which means your families are dependent on you. 3, for the first time you are going to be able to vote, which means you've seen best practices and you can be able to persuade your relatives and the people who depend on you to probably look for leadership that will give best practices, so that the money that you send does not go for services, but the money goes towards economic empowerment rather than services. So it's important that you take that particular interest, because you'll vote, you will persuade, and because the money you've been sending has not been going for economic independence, has been going for services and provisions of services, then it becomes important that you take a keen interest, because you'd like to empower the people you send money to rather than they become your dependents. So those are key statistics that I think are important for you to find out. Now, I don't know how many of you have been able to look at my website, but if you look at peterkenneth.com, I've been very, very clear as to what I would like to do for Kenya. And I've said that I want to do fewer things that have more impact, rather than do many things that have no impact to the lives of Kenya. And I've said that for us to move forward, for us to be food secure, for us to create enough employment positions, for us to do all that, we need to have key drivers. And I've said I have three key drivers. One is agriculture. I would like to see a country that is thriving on agriculture, a country where farmers are given incentives to go into agriculture, a country where a farmer will go into farming very well knowing that there is minimum return in what they actually grow. Because that's the only way we can be food secure, that's the only way we can create employment, through agriculture. Second point I've looked at is I've said I would like to build the numbers in tourism, because they have a spiral effect from an economic point of view. At the moment, we have between 1.2 and 1.5 million tourists. To me, those numbers do not add up for a beautiful country like Kenya. And when I look at the ruins in the Roman Empire, which attract 15 million tourists, and when I look at the ruins themselves, it's just about 3 times of our own Fort Jesus. Then I look at the beaches, I look at the deserts, I look at the animals, I look at the Rift Valley. I then realize that we've not taken advantage. So I'd like to ensure that the tourism sector can actually double the numbers, because it will create lots of employment. And of course, 3, I would like to build the manufacturing industry, because 1, Kenya no longer just depends on Kenya. South Sudan, South Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and Eastern Congo now heavily rely on the Kenyan side of things, which means we have to widen the scope of manufacturing. So those 3 actually amount to what I put on my website as key areas in which we can drive our economy, and we can drive towards satisfaction of food security, and towards ensuring that everybody has an opportunity of employment. Now, for me to achieve those, of course, I need to sort out certain basics. One is security. We have to sort it out. I grew up in Eastlands, when Eastlands was secure. Today, Eastlands is one of the most chaotic places, because there is no visibility, there is no police, and you can no longer see them. In 1974, Jogoo Road Police Station had 20 police cars. 18 were on duty, 2 were on reserve. Today, 15-fold of the population, Jogoo Road Police Station has 2 police cars. One for the OCPD, and another one with 20 liters of gas for patrol. It can't work. So we have to invest in security. And I'm saying this because even from a manufacturing point, it is very expensive to actually do business in Kenya. If I just give you one component, then you'll understand what I'm saying. For a factory to be secure in Nairobi, you'll need laser wire, you'll need alarm, you will need CCTV, you probably need dogs, you probably need a watchman. All these costs, 5 of them add up to the cost of the production. The same is not applied in Uganda. You probably get a guard with a gun and you save on the 4 other elements. If you go to Rwanda, you do not need even a guard. So we have to sort out security also for tourism, because they will not come unless we are able to sort out. Every time a tourist is kidnapped, we lose in numbers. Tourists do what they do out of choice. So it is important that we secure our country to make sure that they come to our country out of choice. And that is why I was the first member of parliament to actually support the invasion of Somalia. And I said, if the aggression comes to our country, then it is right for our defense forces to actually enter into Somalia to ensure that our country is stable and we do not have to be unstable because you have Al-Shabaab and you have all this. And I've continued, even when I've heard about Mombasa resistant army, I've said the same thing. Security is not negotiable. It would be wrong for us to play politics with security. We cannot negotiate security. It has to be top range, topmost, and we all confine ourselves into it. The second thing is, of course, infrastructure. You want to give passage to agricultural products. You want to give passage to manufacturing. You want to give passage to tourists. You have to get the infrastructure right. It is not acceptable as is today. Sometimes it is easier to fly from Joburg to Nairobi than to drive from JKA Airport to Westlands. It is shorter to fly 3 hours, 20 minutes than to drive a short distance of 20 kilometers, which you can easily do 4 hours because of the traffic jam. It is not acceptable that we have a highway, which in the dictionary means an expressway, which has just become a car park. These are things that are not acceptable. We have to get our infrastructure right so that when you guys come home, you don't get frustrated, you can be able to drive, because you are also important in terms of investments. You are important because you've also seen a wider experience. You are important because you can play that role of being investors who are suited best by home conditionalities. The third element that I've also said I want to look at is water. We are a water-scarce country. We can no longer depend on rain-fed agriculture. Climate change has changed all these things. When you guys lived in Kenya, you knew winter would come in July. These days it can come in February because everything has changed, and the rains that we used to wait for in March no longer come in March. Sometimes they come in November. And this has distorted the manner in which our farmers have been able to plan their farming seasons. So it is important as we move forward and as the population gets bigger that we are in a position to harness water, we are in a position to collect water, because the next phase of Kenya, you must have food from irrigation. Therefore, it is very important that we have dams. The fourth item is, of course, on healthcare, because we are losing lots of Kenyans on issues that we can easily deal with, on practices that you are better off. We are losing lots of women on cervical and breast cancers, cancers that we can easily fight. We are losing lots of men on prostate cancer, cancer that we can be able to fight about, because we are ill-equipped, and our doctors are getting frustrated that they continue to lose lives because they are very well-equipped hospitals. That is why I propose that it is very important in my own program that we have a referral hospital in each of the 47 counties, a referral hospital which is well-equipped, a referral hospital which has better format of medicine, a referral hospital that has well-remunerated doctors. And I'm saying this again because, borrowing from my experience when I grew up in Eastlands, the best hospital was actually a city council dispensary. I got everything I wanted, and if things got thick, I simply went to a health center in Jericho and everything was fine, because these things were working. But these days, anybody who gets a cough ends up in Kenyatta National Hospital, which is actually a referral hospital. That is how low the services have actually broken down. Of course, the fifth one is that we have to look at our education system, and I appreciate that we have our own Kenyans here who are at the university. But we've also geared our own system to white-collar jobs. And for manufacturing, you require skilled labor. And therefore, again, I've said I would like to see that each county has a national polytechnic so that we can take our kids who do not make it to campus to become skilled and go into the entrepreneurship or go into manufacturing sector. So those are the things I've said I want to do. Of course, as I said, I realize that there are two issues. We are at 38% unemployment rate, with 52% of the population at 52 at under 18. Then you can imagine in the next 10 years, if we don't create opportunities, what that rate will be. Again, food security, I realize it's a problem. That's why I said I need these three drivers, and I need to sort out the 5 fundamentals. Now, of course, there are many reasons for motivation, and I'll give you the least important. When I look at everybody who is running for presidency, the first question I've always asked myself is, what is it they have done as members of parliament, as ministers, or in positions they have held in government? Because that is a critical question that you must be able to evaluate all of us from when you finally go to the ballot. It's very critical. Luckily for me, my constituency has been number 1 for the last 6 years. My ministry has been number 1 for the last 2 years. And I'm able to say, you can evaluate me, I am ready to be evaluated. And that's why I said that is the least motivation that I can easily talk about. There are other reasons that I could give. One, I would like to see that probably what we've done in our own constituency is replicated in the whole country. Because we've had a strategic plan on healthcare. We had a dispensary every 5 kilometers so that anybody in Gatanga can access healthcare at any one time. But I think the commitment is getting leadership that will work for Kenyans. Not just leadership that wants to be seen from a position of being high and mighty.